welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here at Town Hall in my office. Pretty cool mayor office that we got here. But with us today, we have a special guest. We have Ozzie Herrera. How you doing, Ozzie?
Everything good. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. And I think your history locally is really interesting, right? And I think it's a great example to kids where you can be whatever you want to be, right? You started off at Hialeah High, representing the Thoroughbreds, played baseball there, but more importantly, got a full ride to play college baseball. How did that feel? I mean, because I think growing up and us growing up in Hialeah, knowing that maybe we're the first ones in our family to go to college, right? Was that your case as well?
Yes, it was.
It's a big deal, right? So like, and for you to get a full ride, I mean, how did that feel? Like, why was that your why in terms of why did you love baseball so much? And how did that feel the day that you got that full ride offered to you?
It was amazing. It was an experience that nobody in my family had experienced. I think it was, like you said, I was the first one going to college, especially with a full scholarship. I mean, us as a kid, we always dreamed to become a Major League Baseball player. And then eventually going away to college was a big deal for me, especially a Hialeah kid. Like you said, growing up in Hialeah, born and raised in Hialeah, and playing with so many guys that made it to the major leagues as well. It was a big deal for me. It was very impressive to go to college as well, especially going to St. Petersburg, a little bit north of Florida, and nobody else went with me. Some other guys that were going to go with me that played with us, but I went by myself, and it was a little hard at the beginning because I was always a mama's boy. And you know how it is, Mommy.
Yeah, it's cool that you admit it.
I was a mama's boy. I'm not ashamed of it. But I think, like when I coached at Hialeah, I told all the guys all the time, it's good to go away. It's a good experience because you learn how to be responsible. You learn how to, be away from mommy. And mommy's not doing, cooking your food and washing your clothes. So you become very responsible and very humble too, as well.
Man, but I think that's an interesting point, especially for all the kids that are going to be watching this, because in our culture, right? Cuban, Colombian, Venezuelan, Nicaraguense. I mean, the list goes on and on. In Hispanic culture here in Dade County, our parents are very overprotective. So there's kids, and I hear these stories all the time, where there's kids that get 4.0 GPAs, they get scholarships, they get this, and mom's like, tú no te vas para ningún lugar, tú te quedas en la casa. You know what I mean? You're like, and then you realize, you're depriving your kid of an experience.
That was a great experience.
That made you a better human being.
It made me a better person.
But it is a challenge in our culture where our parents, because it happens to all of us.
Yeah, it happens to a lot of the guys that I coach and a lot of guys that I play with. I graduated in '99. Hialeah baseball is always known for baseball. That's the reason why I went to Hialeah High. I had other options to go to other schools, private schools and stuff, but I always wanted to go to Hialeah. Even when I was a kid, I would still go watch Hialeah baseball and always wanted to play for Hialeah, and I got the opportunity. The first ninth graders they ever had in Hialeah was the Aviation Magnet program. It was the first year they ever had ninth grade, so I got recruited to Hialeah High, and there was only 4 baseball players.
Well, you could say that now. Back in the days, you couldn't use that word.
No. Yeah, you couldn't use that. Well, it was technically not recruited, but there was an Aviation Magnet program that was going to be opening, and I was still in middle school, so I actually left Palm Springs Middle to go to Hialeah High and not have the graduation of ninth grade to go to Hialeah High and play baseball. So that was a big deal. So like going back to what you were saying, it is hard for a lot of kids to go away for school. But like you said, the parents make it even harder. But gracias a Dios, and thank God that my parents, were willing to let me go and cut that umbilical cord. And even it was hard. A couple of weeks when I was in college, I would call my dad crying. My dad goes, no, you gotta suck it up. You made that decision to go, and this is only gonna make you better. And honestly, it did make me better, and it made me the person who I am today, thanks to my family and my parents, that I made that decision of going away for college.
Konya, I think it's cool how you open up and you share those stories, right? Hey, especially for the kids that are going to watch it, because it's normal, right, to have those feelings when
normal.
You're making
it's only normal. I mean, you always want to have, the mom wants to nurture the kid all the time and baby them and be there, and it was a learning experience, but it was hard on my parents as well. My dad would even sleep in my bed in my room when I went away for college. My mom would tell me because he missed me, but he wouldn't tell me that until I will come back, and then she would say, your dad's sleeping in your bed, just missing you because you're not around, but he wouldn't tell me that.
That's
He
awesome.
was always that strong, you know, that
Yeah,
Cuban
yeah.
macho, you know. But
No.
no.
Yo,
Tú no puedes hacer eso, you know. And I would see my parents probably like once a month. Then I would only come down like on Thanksgiving and Christmas. But it was a great experience, you know, going away and playing against other schools and, you know, playing against a lot of guys that I played with in high school and now playing with them in college, because it's a different thing. You know, the baseball transition, it changes, because when you're playing Little League, you have so much talent, but everybody's playing. When you get to high school, the talent starts getting smaller, because now there's like only the best of the best of Little League playing in high school. Then after high school, it gets even shorter. Out of 9 guys that played with me in Hialeah baseball, only 2 guys went to play college baseball. Out of 9 guys that were really good, and we were the game to go to states in '99. So we had a lot of talent.
So focusing and coming from a Cuban household, right? Baseball, especially growing up, baseball was a thing, so big, but pivoting as well to where you became one of Miami-Dade County's top promoters, right? For clubs, right? You're talking about Amnesia, 609, Oxygen, and for those Miami Lakes residents, this guy was one of the ones having the big parties at Mad Jack's back in the day. So,
yes. It comes from my uncle worked the door. He's a very known guy from back in the days. They used to call him Old Man Fernie. He was the one that got me into the club scene, and obviously me being a baseball player and being popular at Hialeah High, because if you play baseball at Hialeah High, you're one of the popular guys. You know, everybody wants to be around the baseball players and wants to be around the baseball team at Hialeah High, because the people that win are the people that, you know, they want to be around and want to be like the entourage. So Hialeah is always known for baseball.
So you had a high school entourage? That's what
like we had a high school entourage that people would follow our games. People would follow us to where we would go. Hialeah baseball was a big deal back then. You know, in the 90s, Hialeah baseball was big. Like, everybody wanted to go play baseball. You're talking about the guys will go and try out, those 300, 400 kids in a tryout. Then now you go to a tryout and there's probably 50 kids of that, if you could count. But going back to the promoting thing, my uncle worked the door, and I would just, you know, I was very popular. So why don't you just start promoting and selling pre-sale tickets? That's how we would do it back in the days. I don't even remember. There was sell pre-sale tickets to get into the clubs and stuff like that, the all ages. So I started doing that, and then I went away for college. And when I would come back from college, I would work the door, and I wasn't even 21 yet. And I would work the door. My uncle and a lot of my uncle's friends that was, you know, older than me would tell me, bro, are you checking my ID? You're not even 21 yourself, you know? So I was like, let me do my job. And then, you know, I started learning the business, and I started seeing that there was a lot of money in promoting. There was a lot of money, and everybody in Miami wants to party and have a good time. So I started making it a business, and I opened up a marketing company. It was called 4-Night Marketing Group. And then I started getting promoters under me, and then we started, you know, doing the promotions and doing all stuff. From there, we started doing pool parties, because we started seeing Winter Music Conference was a big deal here when it comes down to Ultra. So we would do the after parties. We would do the pool parties from the daytime to the nighttime. And then we will bring the big DJs like Polk and Folk, you know, a bunch of DJs back in the days that were really popular will come over, and then they will come out after Ultra, and we will do the pool parties there. So you had door money, you had bar money, you had a lot of money and a lot of people involved, and it made me very connected with a lot of people. I met a lot of important people, and it's helped me out in my career as well in my business. Awesome.
No, 100%. So if it sheds some light, if you're cool with it,
Yeah.
how much money do these promoters make, club promoters, in one night? Like, how much would you say?
Well, we go back, promoting, let's say, in one night, there's promoters that could take, and not on a special event. Let's not put a pool party on a day. On my worst night, counting door money and bar money percentage, I would probably take on a low night, you're talking about $1,000. On a good night, you were taking $2,000 to $3,000. On a special event like a pool party or a concert, because I used to do freestyle concerts as well with Stevie B, TKA, all those guys, you were taking on a big pool party $15,000 to $20,000 each partner after paying expenses. Remember, you had people paying.
So you wanted to coordinate a pool party once a month.
Yeah, we were actually, you know, the thing is that obviously the weather in Miami doesn't help out either, because these pool parties are outdoor and Miami is always rainy. So the main pool parties were always done in more or less like March, because that's when you have all the Calle Ocho, you have, you know, all the Winter Music Conference, the Ultra, everybody's down here. So you have a lot of tourists down here, and that's where you will make your money, because we will sell a lot of tickets on Ticketmaster and a bunch of other websites that we will have, that Groupon. We will sell special tickets, and people will buy pre-sale tickets. So when the night of the event, it was already sold out. So anybody that would come through the door, you were charging them $200 to get in because the night was sold out. And a table, $15,000, $20,000 tables. They had to consume, that amount, with the people that they had. So let's say this table cost $2,000, then the other one was $5,000, but it was to consume that money. That's what that table cost. You would consume that money. So you get to that money.
Coño, I was jealous, man, because I couldn't afford that. I was stuck going, I think the Ramada here in Hialeah, and
I wish I would have met you back then. I would have put you on the list.
Yeah, man.
That's what everybody else tells me. It's like, man, Ozzie, you would always have me on the list, and then I see so many people out there, and they're like, because we also had a company back then too that was called Pachanga Events. So we will do like the boats. We will go out on Sundays in the bay.
Oh, yeah, similar. Albert has a nickname that's similar to that he.
It's called Pachanga?
Yeah, similar.
Okay, and then what happened was that we will go out on the boat on Sundays, and we will meet up on Sundays in the bay, and then we will go out with like 20 boats, and then it was like 30 girls in a boat, and then like 5 guys, and then we will do like a concert out in the water with DJ Robin or any of the DJs that we had. We had a bunch of DJ Africa, a bunch of DJs that we usually use. I mean, if I start naming DJs, a lot of them are gonna get mad now that I said a DJ's name.
Khaled. I'm sure you worked with Khaled.
Khaled, I never worked with Khaled. I never worked with Khaled because our promotion and our clubs were more open format.
Got it.
And it was more towards the house. So we had a lot of DJs who was open all the time, like open format. Jammin' Johnny. I didn't even know Jammin' Johnny was one of our DJs.
Well, Johnny's a good dude.
DJ Zog, personal friend of mine.
Zog's been on the podcast.
You have Irie, you have M. Dot, and now he's with the Heat now. M. Dot was one of our DJs too. So we will take those DJs out on the water and we will do a concert on the water. And then that started that we're like, why don't we name ourselves Pachanga? This is a Pachanga. This is a big party. Let's name it Pachanga, and then we'll start doing trips. So we started doing cruises. Then we will take like 200 to 300 people on a cruise and do the parties and the cruises. Then we started doing Cancun. We did Cancun parties. We would go to Cancun, get the clubs at Cancun, and then do the pool parties in Cancun, and we would sell like a package. The package was the airfare plus a hotel and all-inclusive. Santo Domingo we did too. So we started doing that as well as a company and made us a lot of money as well.
That's cool. That's cool. So when did you pivot once again and start getting into coaching? Right. When was that day that you? When
I got into coaching was after I stopped playing baseball in college, and I came back to Hialeah, and one of my coaches, Carlos Marti, he played at Pace, and I got him. I was the one that got him into Hialeah High as a coach. He told me, why don't you start coaching? You're very good with kids. Kids look up to you. You're a great baseball player. You shared a lot of great talent here at Hialeah. You broke records. I broke the record in Hialeah for hitting. I had 481 my junior year.
Wow.
Yeah, so I broke the record in hitting. They gave me a really nice bat. So obviously one of the, obviously from the talent that I had. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let me start coaching these kids and giving back to the community, to help these kids. So I started coaching at Hialeah, and then I started at Hialeah High as a security guard, like a little part-time. And then I was still finishing school. So once I finished school, I started working as a paraprofessional.
Where'd you finish?
I finished at Carlos Obispo University.
Awesome.
Finished there. I did business and marketing. So once I finished there, I started working at Hialeah as a security guard. Then I became a paraprofessional there, assisting the ESC kids.
Wow.
And then a teacher left, and I became, the 3100 to being the teacher of the ESC. And I kept on coaching there as well. So I worked at Hialeah High as a coach for 12 years. We went to states 2 times. I coached Gio Gonzalez.
You have the rings? Where are the rings?
I have the rings at home. I can bring you the rings. I have the rings at home.
And
I
Jeff.
have one.
Jeff.
I have one because I coached the last one.
You coached? You didn't coach Jeff?
I didn't
Jeff
coach.
Rodriguez?
Yeah, I coached just the second year. Yeah. So we had Gio Gonzalez, that played at Hialeah, and I also coached Nestor Cortez with the Yankees.
Yeah,
I was actually with him on Friday. Very good kid. There's a lot of good kids that come out of Hialeah.
So how does that feel as a coach to see all those kids who left? How many kids got scholarships? I'm sure you can't count them now.
I can't count them. There's a lot of kids.
Dozens of
kids.
kids.
Back then what happened was that a lot of kids wouldn't get scholarships back then when I was in high school because a lot of kids didn't have the grades to go. I think that's what affected a lot of kids to go to college. There was a lot of talent, but a lot of them didn't have the grades, the GPA to go to college. And that affected a lot of the kids, so they went to play independent ball or they went to play softball and they didn't end up playing baseball anymore. But there was a lot of guys after me that did start getting the grades and did get drafted,
Hey, just wanted to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors who make 305 Vox Populi possible. Oz?
Powered by Miami Lakes Automall. Thank you, Fred. located on 1600 Northwest 57th Avenue, Miami Lakes. Phone number 305-555-35110.
Oz, what do you think about this mural, bro? There's never been one of those clubs that got a mural nicer than this, bro. What's up? Am I right or am I wrong?
That's nice. Very nice. Beautiful.
So, Grisel Gajano, who's a school counselor and an artist at night, she put this all together for us. So, hit her up. She's an amazing artist, and if you ever want to do a mural at the center or wherever, she would be amazing.
Very nice. Food by Garchos Gourmet Market, located at 7357 Miami Lakes Drive, Miami Lakes. Phone number 305-384-1334. Thank you, Eddie.
Enrique Santos, shout out to Enrique. We appreciate you. We used that Roadcaster all these years later. I think it was over a year ago, 2 years that we got the Roadcaster. Yeah, appreciate you. That's still right here being utilized to make sure that this program goes forward. I think they use it for all their games, everything at the school too. So you're the man. Thank you for making it possible. Matter Lakes Broadcasting, shout out to the Bears. I think they got, and y'all got some big games coming up soon, right? So they're going to be broadcasting some cool stuff, but they are the MB of South Florida because what they do there at the Broadcasting Academy with 120 students, Brent, Albert, the entire team, Rovi, shout out to you, is truly amazing. Man, and you look at how God, you tell your story, right? How God gives you certain skill sets and certain experiences. And then you look at what you're doing today and you realize it. You look back, you're like, man, God put me in those positions. Talk about how you had to go away, get uncomfortable, right? How you had to, and make sure you clean your own clothes, do your own stuff, be independent. How you created your own business, how you started making money by providing marketing, by networking, by getting together with people, by ensuring that there's a safe place for people to have a good time, and then start coaching, but then also getting a job in the ESC world, right? With special needs students, and seeing what you're doing today, where you're the owner of an adult daycare, not only an adult daycare, an amazing place. In full disclosure, my dad, before he passed, he was with Ozzie. He was at Ozzie Center, and those were some great months for him. So that's something for the rest of my life. I'll always be appreciative of you and your staff. But if you look at how God puts certain things in our life, and now seeing what you're doing, because not only do you own an incredible place, probably one of South Florida's premier adult daycares, but on top of that, how you help other people, even in the adult daycare industry. You're one of the leaders of organizing all the adult daycares in Florida. How does that feel that you look back on it now, every day that you go into work and you're helping people, and you look at the journey that you've been on? Because now you could put all the pieces together. You're like, man, God did this because of this reason. God did that. How's that feeling today?
It's a great feeling. I'm super blessed. I'm super humble. And like you said, I get goosebumps just thinking about how God puts me in these situations. And I think God has always put me in great situations of helping people. Like, people tell me, how did you make the transition from a nightclub promoter, having your own marketing business, to going to adult daycare? But you're kind of like catering to people and seeing people having a good time. That's what was amazing to me, and seeing, always providing that service of helping people. So I always said, I wanted to help, the elderly community, because my grandmother started suffering from mood disorder and bipolar. And that's when this business came along, the adult daycare. And I always liked working around, the elderlies and being around the elderlies, because at my grandma's house, they always would come and play domino, and I would always hear their stories. They all have amazing stories. So I said, why not open up an adult daycare and help families, that really need this place and really, need somewhere to keep their parents, to be social, to interact. And then you're just not helping the seniors, you're helping families to have a peace of mind in a place that I created, started from the bottom and started, helping families. But it's been like the Cubans say, que tú tienes un don. You have a don that God has given you, that blessing to help other people and help elderlies that are very sick. We deal with 90% of our participants have Alzheimer's, dementia, and have, a lot of different diagnoses. And to me, it's not a job. To me, coming there, it just brings life to me. They give me so much energy and so much life. And return, all I got to do is just be there and smile and give them all the love and the care that they deserve. And that's what God has given me. And I'm so blessed to have this business and made that transition in my life from the night scene to the adult daycare, and help so many other adult daycares. Like you say, I sit on the board of FADSA that helps a lot of adult daycare in the state of Florida. I'm the social media director. So we're always helping people. You know, my thing, I tell people, call me. I'm here to help. No matter if you don't come to my daycare, I'm going to guide you. I'm going to lead you to the person that's going to help you. Okay. And I do it out of the heart. And you know me better than anybody. You know me on a personal level. And, you know, having your dad with us was a blessing. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to have your dad with us and all the families that we help out there. And that's all we want to do. We want to help families, you know. Probably all the centers out there are not the same, but there is a handful of them that really want the best for this type of business and helping seniors.
No, you got that right. So it's definitely a blessing for the community. Now that you all know a little bit about Ozzie, I know the students have some questions lined up for you. I think Brent's hand up back there.
So this is, so I have two questions. One of them is for baseball players, and then another one is just basically I'm starting business. So
Correct.
The first one is, obviously you went through the whole baseball journey and everything. So what was something that you experienced that not many people talk about when they're transitioning from high school into college and everything like that? So how, like, that's not really talked about a lot. So
the experience, it's a change. It's a change because you're going into a different team. You're starting, you know, everything new. It's like starting a new job. You know, you gotta go in, you know, and show respect, and also, you know, you gotta lead by example. You know, especially a Hialeah kid coming from Hialeah, going away for college, especially dealing with so many other, you know, guys from up north and from everywhere, dealing with a new coach. It was challenging. It was a big challenge for me, especially leaving home. I mean, like Manny said, it's very hard for Hialeah kids to leave Hialeah. You know, especially the mama's boys like me that I was. It's hard, but it was a great experience, and there was challenges. You know, had to wash my own clothes. I had to, you know, make my own food. You know, obviously, you know, when you're in high school and you play at a school, you know, you're always going to have your little perks, like, you know, as an athlete. And when you're in college, there's not too much perks. You know, there isn't. You know, you got to get your grades. You got to have your 12 credits to play. And if you don't have the 12 credits to play, you know, you're not going to play in the team. And if you got to have the talent, you have to have a good year, because if not, the next year, they don't give you a scholarship again. So it's year by year that you got to play as well.
And then the second question was transitioning from the nightlife to the starting out the adult daycare. What was the biggest struggle starting out?
The biggest struggle starting out was, I could tell you, is the money. The money, the money that I was making in the night scene was such good money. And that's one of the things that I missed the most, was the money that we would make. You know, it was very good money, but it was a struggle because I had to stop that. And then obviously just focus on my business. And you know, the first 2 years for a business is a loss. So it was a struggle. The building process, it took us almost a year to build the adult daycare with the permitting and the architect and all that stuff. Then not only that, like, people think it's just build it and it will come. It doesn't work that way. You got to have the elderlies in there, because if you don't have the participants, then you don't have a business. And at the beginning, most of the time, you gotta give courtesy. You gotta let them in for free to build that. You know, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not letting people in for free. But even in the club scene, look at how everything, you know, goes back to the other business. In the club scene, you have a list. So people get in free till 12 o'clock. After that, people pay. Girls are free all night. That's the way the club scene works. So in the adult daycare, at the beginning, you let in the people for free. So then the other people that want to bring in their parents, they can see other people playing domino or being active. Because if, like, you go into a restaurant, a brand new restaurant, and you don't see anybody in the restaurant, you think there's a problem. Because a brand new restaurant should be packed, or it should have people and bodies in there, because it's a new restaurant. So just like an adult daycare, if you don't have people in there, then you don't have a business. So it was kind of like, you got to set it up the way that I did. A lot of people, you know, tell me, oh, but I'm not going to let in people for free at my daycare, because then how do I make money? But if you're paying rent anyways, you're still paying food, because you have to have 8 meals or more, because you're already with the state and with ACA. You got to have your daycare open with food. So what are you going to do with 8 meals? Are you going to give it to your neighbors? No, you let the people in for free, and then you start the process with the Medicaid waiver and getting them approved, and start getting people into your daycare. But it was challenging that whole year. After the year, we were breaking even, and then we took off because of all my contact and all the people that I knew in the industry from the club scene, because I knew doctors, I knew a lot of medical centers, I knew a lot of rehab places, a lot of nurses and stuff that helped me build my business and to what I have now to help seniors nowadays. Thank you.
When it came to building a business team, did you face any struggles in terms of trust for the people that were working for you and with you?
Yes, that's a very, very good question that you're asking me. At the beginning, you start seeing how people are and how they work with seniors. I live by something in my business that if you're here to collect a check, you're in the wrong place. If you do it with love and care, then you're right place. You know, because it's a job at the end of the day, but when you do it with love and care, it's totally different. I lived an experience with an employee at the beginning that was a little bit younger. She was probably like 38. All she wanted to do was be on her phone. And then sometimes like you had to take a participant to the bathroom. Remember, we deal with a lot of sick people. You gotta, take them to the bathroom, assist them with a lot of stuff. And she didn't want to go to take them to the bathroom because the participant was number 2 and it's pampered. And I was like, I do it. Why not you? If I roll up my sleeve and I do it myself, why can't you do it? So those are the challenges that I went through with that participant. Then with the drivers, a lot of the time the drivers, you would change the logistics on them. Like one day you have to drop off a participant at one house, or if now you have to change them and drop them off at another house, or that you have to take a new participant and then it kind of like took you off with the logistics, and they will give me attitude. And I'm like, why are you giving me an attitude? This is your job. If I didn't need you, I would do it myself. But those are challenges that you go through. Participants on the phone, that's a big challenge. So now I've learned from my experience, because we learn from our experience, is that I don't hire anybody that's not retired. So all the employees that I have are retired employees. So now they're not on their phone. They might have a doctor appointment like anybody normal, but they don't have. It's not because I judge anybody, but it's not good to hire people that have little kids and stuff, because they're always sick. They can't go to work because they have a son or they have a daughter that's sick, and they always have excuses, because that's the excuse that a lot of people have when, I'm not saying anybody has an emergency. I have a son as well. So, but it's better to get them retired, and then they're not asking for more and more money as well. Because if you're young, you're going to want more money, because life is getting so expensive and the economy there's so much inflation that's what's happening as well. Those are the challenges that I've gone through in my business.
You said you were making such good money in the nightlife. How come you switch career paths to helping seniors?
Another good question. I like it. I was already tired of the night scene. Remember, in the night scene, you don't deal with lawyers and doctors all the time. You deal with a lot of things that I don't want to disclose. You understand? You guys more or less know what you deal with in the club scene. There's a lot of things that goes around you. Obviously, you don't have to get involved in that. But going back to that, it was very challenging. But I already had a family, and I was already married. So for me, it was very hard, and it was already causing a problem with my marriage. Working, the nightlife, getting home the next morning, and then, going to work. It was already very, very hard for me, and it was becoming a problem with my marriage. And I wanted to transition to better my life and to help people in life have a purpose. You understand? This business and adult daycare, I like to express it, and I say it all the time on social media, is very rewarding. We make it look easy, but it's very rewarding, because I have friends of mine that are millionaires, and they tell me, wow, I make millions, but sometimes I'm not even happy. In the adult daycare industry, or anything that you help, if it comes down to autistic kids or special need kids or seniors with any diagnosis, it's a rewarding business. God is always going to bless you, and it's always going to give you back, because you're helping people, okay? And how nice it is that you have your business, you're making money, and you're helping people. So that's why I made that transition in my life, for the better, for my family, and to help other people. And that's what I've made a change in my life. And like Manny was saying, that God has put me in these paths, and God has given me the dome to help other people, and that's what we're doing. We're helping seniors live happier, better, and longer at Social Center Adult Daycare.
Can I ask one more?
Of course.
If you could do it a different way, would you? Like reverse it, start with seniors and then see where it takes you? Or
if I would have started, instead of the club scene, started with seniors, I don't know. I don't know if that would have happened that way because I was too young. Even me in the adult daycare industry, I'm probably one of the youngest ones in my industry and have the drive. Yeah, adult daycares is mostly owned by marriage couples and older people. Now I've seen a lot of, like, when I first started, I started my adult daycare in 2014 and it was open in 2015. Around that time, it was a lot of older business owners. It wasn't a lot of young business owners. But I don't know. I don't think that at that age, that young, I would have thought. First of all, I didn't have the money to do it. Second of all, I was all over the place because, you know, when you're a club promoter and you're in that scene, it was about the girls. Remember, you're a local celebrity. When you're a promoter in Miami, there's a lot of promoters in Miami. They're local celebrities, you know, because everybody calls you to get inside a club. You know, everybody was like, oh, call Ozzie, call Ozzie. I remember being at the door and people tell me, oh, I'm Ozzie's cousin. And they're talking to me. And I'm like, you're talking to me. I'm Ozzie. Oh, they told me to say your name. Or sometimes they were like, no, I'm on Ozzie's list. And I go, yeah, you're on my list? And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. They told me to say they were on your list just to get in. So you're a celebrity that everybody's going to call you to get inside the club, because if there's 100 or 1,000 people outside the club, everybody wants to get in. You know, you probably guys have gone to a party and you can't even get into a party because it's so packed. You know, who's going to get you into a party or any little things that you guys have. So that was something that I saw in that industry, but I don't think that I would turn it around. I think that I think everything in life, it has their purpose. God puts you in those positions for a reason. And I'm 42 years old, so I'm still fair young to owning an adult daycare. I mean, sometimes, you know, it's going to happen to you guys. It probably happens to Manny, that sometimes you were at an age and you're like, man, I wish I would have been, you know, I thought I was going to be somewhere else in life. Probably I was going to be, you know, doing something bigger. But no, I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful for what God has given me and what the support. I also do a lot of stuff in the community. We've done a lot of stuff with Miami Lakes. We do a lot of stuff with Hialeah. I'm always willing to help, you know, the community, and always willing to help the families as much as I can. So it's been a blessing. I can't complain. Can I drink some water? Oh, okay.
Well, that's the Marco Rubio moment. You guys remember that? You remember Marco was giving the response to the State of the Union? And
Marco Rubio?
He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah, he's good people.
I think this is a question that a lot of people that want to start an adult care business would like to know. What's the minimum amount of budget that you would recommend for someone that's trying to start an adult care business?
Nowadays, it's a good question too. Back then when I opened my adult daycare, I put, can I say? Yeah. Okay. I put, I don't know if I'm supposed to disclose. I put over $200,000 in my business. So basically I didn't stay without no money, but I put a lot of my money, my big chunk of money, and it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. Back then it was like 200 and something. That was in 2014. The square footage on rent was a lot cheaper. So I think nowadays you're talking about an investment of over $300,000 to open up an adult daycare of a capacity of 35 to 40 capacity. Remember, adult daycares go by capacity because of the square footage. So I have capacity for 35. I could have had 40, but I build an office and then the break room and stuff like that. Things are getting even harder. I know the cities are changing a lot. Before I didn't have, I'm grandfathered in. I didn't have to have sprinklers in the daycare. You have to have sprinklers now. Showers as well. Now they have to have showers in the bathroom. They also have to have, I think it's called a grease dispenser. I think it is. Now, before I didn't have to have it. Now you have to have it. The mop sink has always been there. But the amount of money that you have to invest into an adult daycare, a lot of people struggle with that. Because a lot of people think that it's just, build an adult daycare and people are just going to come and like that. They have to be approved with the Medicaid waiver. If they're not approved with the Medicaid waiver, then you take privately. And especially in our area, in the low income area, middle class area, a lot of people don't have the money because a lot of people use their parents' money to pay for rent, to pay for the inflation, and everything has gone up. So I think you need over $300,000 to build a nice adult daycare. I built my adult daycare the way I wanted it. I could have bought an adult daycare. You could buy them, from somebody else that's probably struggling. But I wanted to build my own brand. I wanted to build something that when you go inside my adult daycare, you want to leave your grandparents there. You want to leave your parents there. It's a place where I wanted to have my grandmother there. to give them that quality. And the last years of their life, live happy. And that's why I build the adult daycare as well. So I think going back to that question, it's probably like over $300,000.
I have a second question.
Yes.
Would you say your adult daycare today will make more money than back then your night job?
Another good question. Bueno, the nightclub money was a little bit easier. How can I say? It wasn't drug money. It was work money because it took time to promote. Imagine how hard it was. Imagine how it prepared me to this type of business, that you would have to call people every week on a list. Call people every week of 200-300 people on a list to invite them to the club every week. That same club, every Friday, every Saturday. And we were able to do that. Not only that, back then you had to flyer. You had to put flyer by flyer, and each car, wherever there was like an ale house or a Flanagan's and that day was packed, you had to flyer 200-300 cars, or a concert that was going on, you had to flyer. It was totally different. But the club money was a lot easier than this money. This money, you got to work for it. We make it look easy, but you got to work for it. But honestly, I think I'm better in the club in the adult daycare business, because it's a lot more rewarding. Even though the club thing, you're still rewarding because you're seeing people have a good time. Like Manny said, your people are having a good time. You're helping people as well, because a lot of people are stressed out and you're getting them into the club. They're having a drink, they're relaxing, they're hearing good music, and they're in a good environment. It's still helping people as well. Because a lot of people are stressed out, especially in Miami. Going to a club and disconnecting is another stress relief. But if I were to go back, I still would, keep the adult daycare as well. The club money was good money, but easy money goes by quicker. It's a lot quicker than adult daycare. Adult daycare, you have more respect for the money. I knew guys before that they will make $3,000 in a night and blow it in one day, because the money was so easy and made quick that, it didn't have any value. Correct. It wasn't value. It wasn't work that much for it, but it was still work, like any job, because there was DJs that would play, let's say, 30-minute set, an hour set, and they were making $15,000-$20,000 and more on just throwing sets there. And for them, it wasn't a hard job, but they were paid good money.
That's fine. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions? So we turn it over to you. You get to ask me some questions, us some questions. You get two
questions?
2 chances, yeah.
Okay. What drove you to make that decision to go into public service as a mayor?
Man, that's a good question. So when I got my first job in the Florida legislature as an aide, I learned a lot, experienced a lot, but I also saw a part of politics that I didn't like too much, right? I saw a lot of people who were there, and not really the folks that I was working for just mainly in the process, right? I met people that were in the federal government, state government, county government, local government, and I met a lot of folks who were there for the wrong reasons, right? A lot of people they want to get elected for the sake of power, right? Just to gain power for the sake of power, not to really help people. A lot of people are there to get to grease the wheels and make money. And I was like, man, there has to be a better way. God gives us certain talents, and if we don't share them for the right reasons, I think there's punishments later on, right? Some people call it karma, some people call it energy. Yeah. I call it God, right? God, so I mean, so that's when I said, you know what, it's time. It's time to run for public office. Took a bet. Never thought I was gonna. A lot of people never thought I was gonna win, because I was running against an incumbent who was a county commissioner, who was supported by the governor at the time, who was who was there for 12 years, who ran for Congress, a Republican state committee woman and we shocked the world and we won. And then same thing when I ran for mayor. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, this guy's crazy. There's 4 people running and nobody knows you, and we ended up winning by the largest margin and raised the most money in city history. And same thing when I got reelected without opposition, and same thing now, right? So there's always people that are going to doubt you, but I think God gives you those opportunities and those doors.
Yeah, I think it just makes you stronger as a person. When people doubt you, it just makes you work harder.
Oh yeah. Listen, it's a lonely path sometimes, right? Yeah. But you got to believe in yourself, right?
Yeah. So I saw that, and that happened to me as well when I opened the adult daycare. I didn't have a lot of people doubting me. They're like, you're coming from the club scene, you're going to an adult daycare business, like, I don't think you're going to be able to hack it. You're dealing with very sick people, you know. And I go, and not only the hardest challenge, and then I forgot to explain that, the hardest challenge in this type of business is they become family, and then they pass away. So they're like, they're family, they're your family, and you take them upon yourself that's your family. And to them, you're their family as well. You're their second family. That's where they come to disconnect. So that's why I always tell my employees, I tell them all the time, I go, we got to be the clown of the circus. No matter what's going on out there, don't bring that stuff in here. Because in here, you got to be smiling, having a good time, making them forget about their pain, forget about whatever there's going on in their life, because everybody's fighting different battles that nobody knows nothing about. And these elderlies have even more, you know. They have, you know, they're getting old, you know, they could be the next person, pass away. They have all these pains and stuff like that. So that's the reason also why I like the adult daycare business so much, because it becomes family. They're your family. That's how it is.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. If you don't got anything else for us.
I do have another one, but I have it on my phone.
You do?
I can take it out? Okay.
Is it a question on your phone?
Yeah. I had another
Oh, so you came prepared.
No, they prepared me. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
And then after this question, we're going to ask you to close out with some words of inspiration, motivation to that next Ozzie Herrera. That might be a young kid playing baseball somewhere.
Yeah. What do you do on your spare time as far as hobby and activities with your family?
I hang with them 24/7, right? Anytime I have an hour, 2 hours, and a whole day. So travel, you name it, we're always together. So going to the beach, just going to Orlando, traveling elsewhere, whatever it is. I mean, we're together 24/7 outside of public service and outside of what I do, teach and all that. I'm with them, and to me that brings the most joy, just hanging out, just talking, having dinner. And so hobbies for me personally, I mean, I don't work out at gyms. I go work out by myself at a park, because it kind of like going to the local gym, I'll be stuck talking to people, right, for hours. So I ride bike by myself. Like today I'm gonna run a 5K by myself, right? Put on the headphones, listen to some old school hip hop, and I'll take off. So, but besides those hobbies, my main thing is family and God, and spending as much time, because you realize, not really even the older you get, but you realize more than ever that, yeah, a lot of the stuff that we do is important, but really the folks that'll be there for you forever is your family, right? Everybody else, unfortunately, sometimes comes and goes. People get into fights, this and that. But at the end of the day, when there's nothing else, like if I weren't in public, if I wasn't the mayor, I'll tell you this, there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't talk to me, right? That would be like, I don't fail to realize that. There's people that call me all the time just because I'm the mayor, right? But I don't fall. There's people that fall in love with that. They're like, man, this is awesome. I realize it, right? So that's why I make sure that while, I pick up people's phone calls, I always make sure that my family is front and center to everything.
That's the most important thing. And just to looking from the outside in, knowing you on a personal level, I really admire you a lot. I admire you a lot because you're very humble. You're very family oriented. You care a lot about your family. You know, I seen it in you. I seen it with your kids. I see the way that you are with the people. And I tell people all the time, I don't just open my doors to anybody in my daycare. My daycare is like my house. So you're always gonna have your doors open at my daycare, and it's like it's your house too. You know, and you know how the way I feel about you, and whatever you need, I'm always gonna be here for you. No matter if you're not the mayor, if you're not the mayor, I'm just like that. I'm the same way with all my friends and everybody that I know. So I think it's very important what you're doing and with your family, and that's the most important thing in life is actually spending time with your family. 100%. You know, that's what you take in life at the end of the day. Family is the most important thing, and then everything else comes aside.
Secondary. Yep.
And I tell people all the time, I go, Manny's a humble person. Manny's a good person. Not because he's a mayor, not because, I know him on a personal level,
And you appreciate those words, bro. Yeah. Really appreciate it.
I have another question. I have one more.
We don't got time. We got time for that.
Got one more? Okay.
All right.
Okay. How do you differentiate yourself with your public service time and as a mayor and your personal time with your family? How do you separate
I gotta say no. So I get criticized. I'll tell you this. I get criticized a lot by political insiders, right? Because I don't go to a lot of the galas and parties and cocktail hours and all these different things that happen, because I got to make sure I take care of my family first, right? So there's a lot of people, unfortunately, in politics, and some I've given advice to. I'm like, yo, you can't abandon your family, right? And a lot of times they do. They just focus so much on the position. But I do get criticized from a lot of people because I focus a lot of my time on my family, and I don't do the political networking. I don't go to the galas. I don't go to the cocktail hours. I don't go to the networkers. I don't go because I got to make sure there's a proper balance, right? But I do focus my time ensuring that my residents are taken care of, right? Anything outside of the town. Now I'm doing some different stuff on the campaign side, but even that, and Albert and Brett have gone with me on the campaign trail. I'm very disciplined, and we only go to things that are like, yo, it's going to add value to people's lives and we're going to meet people. But otherwise, we just don't do it. But yeah, that to me, the differentiating part is that. Like, listen, if I get invited to something that is not going to bring value to my residents, I'm just not going to go. And again, people like state of the county addresses, state of the city for other cities. I don't go to any of that. I don't go to any of it. And there's an impact to that, right? There's people that I've never networked with. Maybe I should, but brother, it doesn't matter because I'm spending time with the family, right? So that's where I've made sure there's a pendulum in life, and you got to make sure it's balanced properly. Because the moment one thing gets out of balance, out of whack, that's when you lose. And one thing I'm not gonna lose is 100%. So that's where you got to make those decisions. But I've seen it. I have friends of mine who I've had to talk to. I'm like, yo, you're so obsessed with the position that you're abandoning everything else. And I've seen it. There's people that have unfortunately lost everything for politics. And I think that's wild that people, but nobody's gone along the way to tell them, hey, yo, you gotta
slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a challenge for me too when I was in the club scene, that I would have to go to different events, and I took a lot of time away from my family. Especially every New Year's, we used to do New Year's parties, Thanksgiving parties, Christmas parties. It took a lot of time from my family. And that's why, and then obviously the night scene was always on the weekend. Now my business is from Monday to Friday at 4 o'clock, I'm done. In the nightclub scene, you're working all Friday all the way to the next day, Saturday all the way to the next day. So you really didn't have time for your family. And I think I admire you on that. And I wanted to ask you that question was because I see a lot of these people that don't miss one event or don't miss anything. And I'm like, when do they spend time with their family? Right? A lot of them don't, and you can't lose that. You can't lose that touch, especially when you have kids. Life is so hard nowadays to raise kids that you got to be a father figure and you got to be there for them. Yeah, and I seen that and admire that about you because I'm the same way with my son. I'm even coaching basketball now. I'm coaching my son now. And, I admire that about you a lot as a mayor, as a person, and who you are, and that's what makes you who you are.
100%, man. So in Oz, in closing, if you look at the camera and just share some few words, motivation, inspiration to that next Ozzie Herrera, who might be going off to college, and like you shared very intimate part, right? Llorando, missing your parents, pivoting to the club, pivoting to coaching, to teaching ESC, and now opening up your own business, right? Living that American dream, being the first person in your family to graduate from college and going through that entire, which is really inspiring in itself. So how do you share those few words to somebody, a kid who's 17 years old, now looking back at 42, some words of inspiration, motivation?
Well, I think the best thing is there's a Spanish saying that says, "Dime con quien tú andas y te diré quién tú eres." I think you need to surround yourself around people that want the same goals and want the same thing for your life as well. Don't surround yourself around people that don't want the same thing for your life. And just have a drive. Whatever you're gonna do it right. Do it at 110%. No matter what anybody else thinks, because I think nowadays the younger generation it's all about likes and all about followers. There's no leaders. We need leaders, and that's what we're missing nowadays. We need leaders. We need to have people that are different and have a different mindset than everybody else. It's not about the likes. It's not about the followers. It's about leading by example. And I think kids nowadays need to lead by example. And that's something that I reinforce, and I enforce my son all the time, not wanting to be like other people. Not following other people. Be different. Be a leader. If you're going to run, be the first one running. If you're going to be doing something, do 110%. Give it all. When you start something, you finish it. Don't do it half-assed. So I think that the best thing for this generation and something that I could give a little bit of advice is just have a drive, be humble and be hungry. That's one thing that I've always been in my life, is being humble and being hungry. No matter how much talent or how high you are, whatever you do, always be humble, because you don't know. One day you could be on top and the next day you could be in the bottom, and you don't know, because when you look behind, nobody's helping you. Okay? So when you're on top, always be grateful and always be humble, because one day you could be on the bottom, but you'll get back up. But you got to be humble. And it happened to a lot of guys that played baseball with me, that a lot of them had a lot of talent and they were very egoistic. They weren't humble at all, and karma caught onto them. And karma, I believe in karma a lot. So whatever you do is what you're going to get in return. So I think that you just got to work hard and stay hungry and stay humble.
And there you have it, the great, inspiring story behind Ozzie Herrera. Tune in next Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X.
Thank you.